Welcome to our Kinfolk Custom project. This is our team's first true multi-generational home. We've done the in-law suites before, but this one has more. So we approached this project like a puzzle. We first brought on our dream team. We got to work with one of our favorite builders on this project. And then we started with the architect of checking off the wish list. They wanted to have 7 bedrooms, 5.5 baths. There's over 14 beds in this project. There's a bunk room in the basement where 6 kids can sleep. It's amazing for kids zones and parent zones. The clients wanted the styling to have references of New York, of Toronto, contemporary lines, but still have all of that comfort of a warm family home. And this house is meant for their elderly parents to live, but it's their second residence. So they wanted to make sure that when they were coming to visit, that they would have their own space, the whole extended family would be really comfortable here for the holidays. And we've definitely accomplished that. Can't wait to show you. For the exterior finishes of this home, we wanted to make sure that it would fit the neighborhood. It's in this suburban neighborhood, but we also wanted to inspire and elevate. So we took traditional nuances, which the client loved in the architecture, but also combined it with some contemporary, unexpected selections. The brick is done in a terracotta. It's painted to have this beigey type of finish to it, which looks really soft. And then we contrasted that with the hardy board siding. It's done in this horizontal lap siding, and the color is timber bark. The door then layers on another gray tone, which is this windswept smoke. And the windows allow for this contrast. By doing them in black, they kind of pop against the beige brick. So we're standing here in the entrance of our Kinfolk Custom new build. And when we were taking on the architectural phase, working with the architect in this project, the clients were really looking to do a grand entrance. We really focused on doing a beautiful staircase that is open double height and hanging some gorgeous pendants, and then also doing a substantial door. So in order to give it a larger scale and proportion, our team paired a large door, but added 2 side lights on either side so that the scale and proportion would feel much larger. We also went with a custom color match to Gentech's windswept smoke so that you get those nice charcoal tones that would layer on the exterior finishes. And this door is done in a fiberglass, but has a wood texture to it, so it looks like a painted wood, but without all of the maintenance. So it's great economically, and it's also really easy to maintain, which are 2 things that our clients love. So here we are in the dining room. And in the dining room, we had an opportunity because architecturally, we needed to have a post in one of the corners, which gave us the ability to drop these headers into the space and give the dining room its own moment. So we switched the paint tone, we went with something a little bit warmer, and you'll see that really lends itself into the furniture and the decor that we picked as well. So we've got these cocoa rich tones that look so classy and elevated, from the velvet on the chairs to the linen on the drapery, and then finished off in this gorgeous light pendant that has this champagne to its globes that make it look vintage and classy. Something else that you'll notice is that we went with a different window color on the interior. So on the exterior, we went with black, and on the interior, we went with white because we wanted the space to feel really open and bright. And different window companies have different options, but for this one, we went with the slimmest, sleekest mullion size that you can get because we don't love the overly chunky mullions. And I think these ones turned out great. I'm sitting here in the living room of this project and I'm on this cozy, luxurious rug, which is great because it's multi-generational, so lots of seating for all the kids to gather around. The clients had this major wish list that we talked about, and one of the things was a sunroom, but you only have so much space to design with, so we combined a few elements. So the living room, the kitchen, the breakfast nook, all have this feeling like you're in this greenhouse, this sunroom, and the way that we were able to achieve that was by a lot of windows. So we flanked out the fireplace with windows on each side, but still leaving enough breathing room of wall space to make the drapery, the window treatments really feel intentional. And then we have 3 window panels at the back of the living room, which also form like the backdrop, the art. It filters in so much light, and the way that the house is facing, you get all that western light in the afternoon that just creates this warm glow in this space. So sometimes you're not always needing to put a piece of art, and the architecture of the space ends up being that focal point for you. We had another architectural opportunity. We have this beam running across the back of the house because it supports the 2nd floor. However, since we were gonna have this asymmetrical beam here, our team thought, why not create a ceiling detail? So we added in 2 more. And by doing that, we were able to create symmetry in the space by running the center beam from the hood fan all the way to the fireplace. We have these 10-foot ceiling heights in here that are gorgeous, and I feel like if we didn't have this ceiling detail, you might not appreciate it as much. The jumping off point in this living room for the furniture were our clients' vintage Halabala bentwood chairs from the 1930s. They're gorgeous, they add so much character to this space, and we love when our clients have original existing furniture pieces that we get to incorporate because it just elevates the story of the home and gives it that cool factor. Like, these chairs are definitely it. We're definitely known for layering in a lot of vintage into our spaces, into our projects, but that's not necessarily the right fit for every client. So when you look at the furniture layout in here and the pieces, each of them have their own personality that allows them to kind of stand on their own. So the styling in here is quite contemporary and sleek, and it almost feels kind of sculptural. And I forgot one thing that I absolutely love in here, which is this Jake Arnold light. It reminds me of my grandma's place, and my grandma was super stylish, so that is saying a lot. And it just has this rope detail for the shade, so the way that the light diffused just makes it feel like honey and warmth, like a warm hug in your space. Fireplaces are often the focal point of living rooms, and in this case, the clients really wanted to have a layout in their living space that was highly flexible for conversation, but also the reality is they like to watch TV. So we need to make sure that the lifestyle is functional and also meets all the aesthetic needs. So this TV doesn't look overly grand in the space because we beefed out this wall so that it would have a little bit of breathing room on either space. And we went with this cast concrete fireplace mantle, which is done in this gray tone and picks up the tones and the palette of this home really nicely. But it also has this rub to it that I often say it gives it this old world charm, but really it's this gorgeous kind of like patina that gives it a little bit of texture and makes it almost look like it has this Renaissance kind of finish to it. And then for the actual fireplace insert, we went with a Superior, which is a great price point for its look. It's got a great scale and proportion, and you can pick the interior too so that it matches the aesthetic of the home. And it really makes this room feel cozy and brings it all together. The kitchen, the second half of my favorite space. So this kitchen was definitely designed as a chef's kitchen. The clients love to cook, and they love to cook with a lot of spices. So we needed to make sure that the functionality and the beautiful aesthetic were met. And I think we did, so let me tell you how. in this kitchen, you're gonna notice that we did a lot of clothes storage, and that's because our clients love to cook and they needed a lot of clothes storage for all of their dishware, for their spices, which are not those cute little spices, they're gonna be big containers. So it's important to actually consider the way in which you are going to live instead of maybe going for some of these kind of trendier things, which can be like the open shelves with everything on display. That might be an ideal dream, but if it's not gonna work for you, then you're not gonna have a functional kitchen. So in here, in order to really elevate some of those design details while getting an ample amount of storage, we went with higher than standard cabinets for your uppers. We actually elevated them to 24 inches instead of doing a typical 18-inch. And that's because, one, for the storage needs, but also because we have high ceilings. And it could feel like we were kind of getting a little bit out of scale and proportion with our hood fan ending up being too long, and same with the cabinets. So we have 36 inches on the hood fan here with some textural paneling on top, and then again with the higher cabinets, which allows us then to really display this gorgeous countertop that wraps up as the backsplash too, and you're able to see a little bit more veining. You do have to consider the fact of what you're gonna be storing up there though, because they are a little bit higher. So in this case, we have containers of spices, but we're able to, with a lot of drawer storage on the base, actually put our plates lower, which ergonomically works because you're carrying out something that's gonna be a little bit heavy and you wouldn't wanna be reaching up for those heavier things. For the countertop in this kitchen, we went with a Calicata Venato quartz, and this is done by Handstone. It's definitely one of our favorites. We pretty much use it in every project somewhere in the house. And that's because it just has this really natural veining through it that's not too overpowering, and it complements the kind of navy charcoal undertones of the cabinetry as well. Another fun detail in this kitchen is that this is the first time that we actually went with rounded corners on the cabinetry, and they make it look really custom. And then there's also nothing kind of pointy to run into. So our team was absolutely loving how the finished product ended up. So for the jewelry of the kitchen, be it the lighting, the hardware, the plumbing fixture, we went with a Luxe Bronze by Brizo. And it's important to pick all of these features together because sometimes brass looks can end up being a bit too yellowy, and you want to make sure that they're all gonna complement each other really nicely. So love the plumbing fixture. It works really well with the Berenson pulls too. And then we add in some knobs. We like a combination of the two and not necessarily doing the same everywhere. And they have a nice sleek profile on the doors. But then when it comes to more of the appliance pulls, they have a bit more of a substantial feel to them. The clients really like the feeling of globe lighting in their house because it just diffuses the light really nicely. It's soft with the milk glass and just has this a bit like romantic feel to it. So we really liked these lights. You'll see that the silhouette of them also complements the silhouette of the light that we've done in the breakfast nook, just in a couple of different finishes. And having the chain link there, they just look really high end. So we saved the best for last, the coffee station. This is a really special moment in the kitchen. We integrated it all into the pantry wall, and it's got these pocket doors that fully retract so they completely get out of your way. We've changed the interior and we've done this melamine that looks like a wood. It complements the wood tones throughout the house too. We've reintroduced the countertop in here, and then with recessed lights, it's just a really nice moment for your morning coffee. The clients really wanted to have this breakfast nook for their parents. They wanted them to be able to come in the morning, have their cup of coffee without having to go and sit at the formal dining room. So in here is kind of an extension of the living room feeling of that sunroom. We've got windows all the way around, including a patio door. We've continued the drapery too. So you've got these gorgeous drapery panels that wrap this space and really soften the feeling. And then for the furniture pieces. These are Jean Prouvé chairs from the Bauhaus era and an antique table. And on the chairs, you'll notice this kind of rusty red detail to the legs. And I feel like the rusty reds and the blue undertones all really feed nicely off of each other. And then for the lighting, you want to make sure that in this kind of open space where I've got lighting, some pendants over the island that are so close that they complement one another. So the silhouettes are similar, but the texture is done in this woven rattan, and it allows the feeling to be a little bit more casual, but still picking up really nicely off the other lights in the space. And then having that globe effect that they love for a nice, soft, warm glow in the space. So here we are in one of the in-law suites. This is on the main level. We really wanted to make sure that they would have everything that they needed on the main level. And this bedroom is connected by a Jack and Jill, which you typically see connecting kids' rooms, but it is very functional in this type of lifestyle and layout. So for her room, we color drenched the room in one of our favorite colors, which is Tin Lizzie. Kind of has these undertones of gray mixed with a steel blue. So it lends itself to be very traditional and classy in its styling. And by doing the ceiling in the color, it allows the light fixture to really pop because you see the shades are in white. So if the ceiling was white too, it just wouldn't have the same effect. And then for the furniture, we've gone with some traditional silhouettes by doing the wing back on the bed and complementing that with some really luxurious bedding. I'm standing in the Jack and Jill, which connects the in-law suites. And in here, we've again played on some of those traditional silhouettes. So you can see in the plumbing fixtures, we've gone with a polished nickel, and it just has this really warm tone and classy feel to it. We've complemented that with the Calicata Venato, which is the same countertop that's in the kitchen. The clients love their globe, so we thought great opportunity to add in that soft lighting in here. And then for the shower bath, we love adding a window in. It is so nice to shower when you have natural light filtering in. And the way we like to finish that is by trimming it out in the quartz. So we've used the same as the countertop and matched that out. And to keep things simple and again, classic, going with this kind of artisanal subway tile that has a little bit of bouncing of light to it, just complements the whole look of the shower. One of the things that we love to do is get custom shower curtains made. They elevate the look of a shower bath so much, and you just get them made to measure in a nice linen. You double layer that with the plastic in behind, and then you install your shower curtain rod higher so that you're also accentuating the ceiling and making this whole ensemble look custom. We told you that this project was a puzzle in terms of its layout. So I'm standing on the second floor, and let me tell you what we've got up here. So we have a primary suite that has its own ensuite for the owners. We have a guest bedroom that has its own ensuite, so they have their own zone and it's comfortable. Then on the other wing, we have the extended family. We've got a room for the parents and one for the young kids. And then we've paired that with a main bath that's sectioned in 3. So it has a separate shower bath that's separate from the toilet, that's separate from the vanity, so that it's really functional for everybody. So here we are in the primary suite. This is the owner's suite. And one of the things to mention is that they wanted to have really high ceilings on the main floor. So we have 10 foot on the main floor, which meant that we have 8 foot in the primary suite. That kind of limited or constrained, let's say, our ability to put in kind of a grand chandelier in here. So instead we went with this semi-flush mount, which it doesn't come down too low. So you're able to actually instead of working on the vertical, you're more so working on the horizontal to give it that grand effect on the ceiling. We also color drenched this room in the same color that we did in the dining room. So it's really warm. It just gives it a little bit more of a moody vibe. And they had the existing bed, so we worked on the jewel tone blue of the velveteen on the bed and kind of complemented that, but also calmed it down a little bit with some natural bedding. For underfoot, we wanted something that was a little bit more contemporary. So we've gone with this abstract kind of geometrical pattern for the rug, and it's really soft underfoot. In the ensuite, we went with a little bit more of a contemporary look up here than what you would see in the Jack and Jill for the in-law suite. So for the faucets, we went with the same polished nickel, which is really nice and classy, but it has a more contemporary silhouette, and these are Rubenet. For the countertops, we went with one of our favorite granites, which is Jet Mist. And an interesting detail about this cabinetry is that we wanted to go wall to wall, but sometimes when you only have so much depth for your drywall before the window starts, you can actually recess a bank of drawers and flank them out on either side and create this really nice silhouette here with the vanity, so that you still get your double sink and it feels expansive. And I actually really like this design detail even more than having it flush. Since this is the ensuite, we wanted to go with a custom shower, and I really love how we did the Jet Mist as the sill here, but kept it flush instead of having that recessed lip. I just feel like it looks a lot cleaner. We've gone with an artisanal tile done in the square, similar to what we did in the in-law Jack and Jill. And then for a bit more of a contrast, we've actually done the niche in the Jet Mist as well. So that is a wrap on our Kinfolk Custom project. We hope you enjoyed this home tour, and we want to take a moment and thank you, our community, our YouTube community, which is something relatively new for us. We've really been enjoying making these home tours, and we really appreciate the in-depth comments that you leave, because that feedback is what's giving us the inspiration to refine and give you the type of content and kind of design answers that you're looking for. So thank you for being a part of this journey with us, and we're looking forward to showing you our next project.